They say the hummingbird is a miracle, a tiny, iridescent jewel, a blur of impossible physics, drinking the nectar of life, a living, breathing metaphor for nature's delicate beauty. They say a lot of things, and they are, as usual, terribly, wonderfully wrong. For a time, we adored them. We hung their shimmering red feeders, filled with cheap, sugary water, glistening, ruby-red bribe. We invited them into our suburban sanctuaries, never imagining that the invitation would become a summons, never realizing that in the billion-blossom garden of Earth, the hummingbirds weren't the guests. They were the auditors, and they were about to declare our account past due. The first reports were treated as charming eccentricities. A grandmother in Arizona, convinced a Rufus had memorized her schedule, hovering outside her kitchen window at precisely 6:15 a.m. every day. A bewildered professor in Maine, whose entire balcony garden petunias fuchsia, even the notoriously bitter snapdragons had been surgically deflowered overnight. Not eaten, mind you, just emptied. Like a microscopic, highly aggressive catering crew had packed up and left without so much as a thank you note. Then came the shift. The attitude. The feeders, once a source of joy, became battlegrounds. Thousands of birds, far more than the ecosystem should sustain, began arriving. They stopped their playful aerial dances. They stopped sharing. They simply stared. Their tiny, black eyes, usually reflecting the sun like polished obsidian, held an unnerving stillness, a profound, almost judgmental focus. It was the look of a creature that knew a terrible secret about you, a secret involving your choice of lawn ornament and a complete lack of adequate fencing. People whispered about their terrifying efficiency, their militant coordination, the sheer, relentless thirst. It wasn't about hunger anymore. It was about dominance. It was about a collective, feathered realization. Why settle for a little sip when you could just take the whole sweet, sugary, human-provided supply? We had fundamentally misunderstood the relationship. We thought we were benevolent providers. In their eyes, we were merely inefficient sugar manufacturers. And if we couldn't meet the production quota, well, every industrial revolution needs a few casualties. The early days of the hysteria were marked by strange, almost comedic acts of defiance that quickly turned sinister. Forget mere hovering. They began to demand. Car alarms triggered nightly by a concentrated attack of avian bodies against the sensors. Windows, once friendly observation posts, became sites of relentless high-speed tapping. And the color red, the universal signal for nectar, became their battle standard. Mailboxes, stop signs. The trim on children's playgrounds, anything marked in their preferred hue was treated with an obsessive, territorial scrutiny. If you drove a red car, you didn't just drive, you ran the gauntlet. They weren't just annoying. They were organizing. Whispers spread insubstantiated, of course, but chilling of feeders being deliberately sabotaged, sugar water laced with something extra, something that made the tiny hearts beat not with simple life, but with pure, distilled rage. It was on paranoia if the entire flock was actively plotting your demise over a poorly mixed gallon of simple syrup. It was just a Tuesday. Today, the hysteria has cooled, but the air is heavier. We still hang the feeders, but the joy is gone. They are offerings now, tributes, because we learned the terrible truth. You cannot negotiate with a million miniature engines running on pure adrenaline and resentment. The hummingbirds won, not with claws or teeth, but with overwhelming, coordinated presence. The sky above our backyards is a silently patrolled zone. Every red flower, every drip of sweetness, is claimed. We walk among the blossoms, nervously checking the shadows, listening for that familiar, high-pitched whir. It's the sound of sovereignty. It's the sound of a mistake we can't take back. We created a demand, and the suppliers are now running the whole darn company. So next time you see that flash of iridescent green, hovering impossibly still, remember this. Nature doesn't take kindly to being manipulated for a pretty view. It just smiles, takes the sugar, and waits for you to slip up. Sweet dreams, humanity. May your windows be clean, and your nectar be pure. The audit continues. If you think your backyard feeders are just a friendly gesture, you haven't been paying attention. Smash that like button if you've ever felt those tiny black eyes watching your every move. And subscribe to join the flock because the truth about the billion blossom backlash is far sweeter and far deadlier than you can imagine. Drop a comment below and tell us, have you noticed the unsettling silence? Have the sugar-fueled sentinels begun their patrol in your neighborhood? Hit the notification bell because the next documentary episode reveals the classified government memos detailing Operation Nectar Drop. And trust us, you don't want to miss the fallout.